I just realized that I actually didn't explain how this works, the console log, but how this works. So when it's like this, it's grabbing the actual data from it, and then we can use a comma separation in console. And when we do these quotation marks, this is basically just us setting up some text. Blah. So if we refresh out here, this arrow will now become blah. So just to like show test from here and then printing it out. But that's just the console log. So we can do, for example, let's say console log test, let's do this, so test data output, like so, and then we can write, I can't remember, was it doc data? I don't remember anymore, or doc ID or something. So it prints out it here if it actually exists. It wasn't doc data, but as you can see, I forgot that one for that. But anyways, so you can try testing with console log. But what we want to do now is we want to grab this information and save it into our system. So instead of having these things up here, frozen yogurt and everything, we want the system to actually use what we put on. So the first, we're going to create a variable called menu item, capital I, in new item data, and we're going to set this equal to data doc.data, there we go, like the one I actually wanted to print out before, the one we have up here. So this is the data doc, right? I shouldn't have deleted that. I'm just going to grab this one real quick again. So put this in above so we can actually see. So this is the one I want to grab, right? Because that's the information with all this stuff in here. That's the document data actually. So having this is now being set to menu item data. So what we want to do now is we want to take this and we want to push this into our array up here called menu items. So inside our inside this one, we want to use the this keyword to grab the menu items, our array, and then we want to push like we would do with from our menu items to the current basket over here. Same procedure, and what we want to push in here is the actual data. So we grab the data now and we want to push this into it, and we want to set it up so it's similar to what we have. So the ID is the doc ID because that's what Google provides us with. That's those weird names over here, the long letters and numbers. That's the ID. We're saving that. We're going to use that later for when we want to delete and edit them. And then we're going to do the name, and we want to set the name actually to be menu item.data.name because we're storing each of these, the name. This name is part of the now because we're saving it into menu item data. So menu item data.name will grab me test bagel here, right? So that's why we're doing this. I'm going to copy this because we're going to redo this at least 3 more times. So the first one is name, the second one will be the description, and then the description over here, and then the last one will be the price and menu item price. Sweet. So now we're saving in our this data into our array. This also means we don't need to have this static data anymore because we're actually grabbing it from Firestore instead. So what I can do now, you can either choose to delete everything if you want to, or if you kind of want to still be able to see it later, you can just do this. So make it green, and then we can do this little woo, so you can see it. So the plus button here, but it actually still exists, but it's not there anymore. And now if you refresh your page, whoop, today you suddenly get test bagel 1, 2, 3, which is those up here. And if I go back to my admin part and I add another one, so let's click add item and let's go cheddar bagel chili super duper price. That's really expensive though, right? So that's adding it now, and if I go back to menu, bam, it's there already, and I can still click here, and the design just broke because it's too little space. I can still use, and you can see it actually grabs everything we set up previously with the numbers. So the price, if I add price, it adds 20. If I add 200, it adds 200 here, right? And remove those. So because we set everything up the way we did here with the loops and saving the data in the arrays and decrease items and set everything still works. We're just grabbing the information, the data from an online database now and then pushing them into our array. So that's really sweet. Right now we have an online database where we have persistent data that we can use going forward. Cool, what's next? So let's try in our, where we go, admin here, And let's set up our remove so we can click, and then it should remove this this item we click, right? And we also need to set this up so it actually grabs the data correctly in here. So let's do that in the next video.